What's going on, guys? Eric here from Liquid Fan TV, and welcome to the International 9 Group Stage Pre-Show. Given the overall impact and the length of the International, I thought I'd break this down into two videos. So the one today is going to be covering the group stage, and on Tuesday I'm going to be releasing a video that kind of goes over our group stage and then also looks towards the playoff bracket that we'll be in. So the group stages are just about to kick off actually tonight, and it's going to be each team divided into two groups where they're all going to play best of two round robin against each other. And looking at our group right away, we're going to see some exciting teams here. First, I just want to focus on PSG, LGD, and Team Secret. LGD was the 6th seed in the DPC season. Team Secret, of course, the first, the real juggernaut of the DPC season. And they're going to be our biggest competition in the group stage. So I think we're really going to have to watch out for them, hope for 1-1s in those series, perhaps a 2-0 if we can maybe catch them off guard. LGD is potentially a little bit weaker, but really they're going to be our biggest competition. Outside of that, I think Alliance and TNC are two real up-and-coming teams. They've looked relatively good lately, and I don't think they'll really cause too much contention for that top 4 run for us, which, top 4 is something that's really important, and I'll kind of come back to that a little bit later on. But they are strong teams. We should be able to 2-0 both of them. But there is the potential for a 1-1 here, especially against TNC, who actually recently picked up ex-Team Liquid coach Heen, and he was actually with us for our TI7 and TI8 runs. So I think we can pull out a 2-0 against TNC. We do kind of have to respect Heen and his coaching and, kind of understand that he really knows our squad well, so maybe switch up a few things in order to secure 2-0 against them. But outside of that, I don't think we have too much trouble. I do have to mention, of course, Chaos. The script couldn't have been written any better this year. After abruptly leaving Team Liquid or being removed from Team Liquid, Matumba Man joined Chaos, and they made their run through the European qualifiers, eventually landing in our group. So obviously that had to happen. We couldn't meet them, a little bit later on, but I think it'll be a pretty exciting series. I think, it wasn't really a dramatic exit and there's no bad blood, but of course both teams are really going to want to show to one another that they're both really strong. They've got a little bit something to prove here. And of course there's going to be the Weehaw versus Matumba Man mid lane matchup, the new versus the old. And I think that'll just create a little bit of excitement. It'll be a really enjoyable match, a really enjoyable best of 2 series for a lot of fans. Group stage teams and dramatic matchups aside, we really can look forward to a best of 2 round robin format. If we take a look at the last 2 years, we actually came first in both 2 group stages. We never lost a matchup 0-2, and we ended up beating EG LGD both years to take that first seed. And this is really important because, again, we want that top 4 this year. If we don't get the first seed, we need to be comfortable in a round robin format, and we clearly are. So, as I said, top 4 is really important just because we want to avoid that lower bracket round 1, which is a best of 1. And if we go all the way back to Dream League Season 11, where Chaos knocked us out, we know that best of 1s are extremely volatile, and especially when you're the team that's expected to win, there's a lot of pressure just on that one match, and anything like a draft oversight or a single misplay can really, just destroy your entire tournament hopes.
FN, backed up by the Heavenly Grace buff. He's in on top of Matumba Man. Silence there from Misery Matthews trying to get back to the base, but he cannot. GG is called. Chaos Esports 20 minutes in. 20 to...
Despite Liquid being a team that nobody really wants to meet in a best of 1, we're also not really suited for a best of 1 environment either. So we like the option of adapting or learning from a loss and taking that to win the series or taking that on with us throughout the tournament. So if we look at TI7, we were knocked to the lower bracket by IG, and that actually turned into one of the arguably most dominant runs in TI history. So we ended up coming all the way up from the lower bracket and 3-0 sweeping the grand finals. However, on the flip side, if we take a look at TI8, we beat EG 2-0 in the group stages, and it was very convincing from us. And when it came time to play them in the lower bracket semifinals, they actually 2-0'd us, and it looked really convincing for them. And part of that I think I would attribute to the fact that they had a game to study and build a plan off of, whereas we really didn't. We could look from mistakes against other teams, but they weren't directly suited to EG. And I think that's something that's going to be a little bit more important in the playoffs, but that's one of the main reasons that I think we want to avoid that best of 1 and avoid starting in that lower bracket. Outside of securing top 4 and dodging that best of 1, I think the real sign of how strong we're looking is going to be directly tied to how well we draft in the group stage. So over the last couple of years, the team has benefited from being extremely flexible. So, how we draft our heroes, where we lane them, and just being able to play a wide variety of heroes. And based on that, I've chosen 3 heroes for each player that I think could be a pretty high impact pick for us in the drafts. And I've overlaid them with the stats from their DPC season, which we'll kind of come back to a little bit later. I've kind of been paying attention to the meta as closely as I can, despite there not being any tournaments. And I've seen a real rise in strength cores and some illusion-based carries. And I think some of the heroes that I'm highlighting here are either, good at countering that, or, they're just strong heroes within that meta. And I do think it's important to note that I'm no expert on the meta here, but these are just heroes that I think could be really beneficial for us and could be strong picks in the draft to look out for. So, for example, we know Weehaw is a really good Timbersaw player. He's actually run circles around our squad on it. And it's going to be something that's going to be able to exploit this strength hero or this illusion carry meta, where he's got a lot of high burst damage, he's really mobile, he's got a high skill cap, and that's something that we could see get picked up and have a high impact for our drafts. On the other side of that, we have another signature hero, which is the MC Nature's Prophet. But I don't want to tie it just directly to MC, because I've also put it up on Kuroki's panel as well. And I think it's really important that this is going to be kind of this flex pick that I spoke about before, where it gives us the option against these stronger teams of Team Secret, LGD in our group, where it makes us just a little bit more unpredictable. You don't know where this hero is going to be played. He's got a pretty strong laning stage against strength heroes or some of these weaker illusion-based carries. And I think that's something that we could see come into play on the 3 role or the 5 role. Now, outside of this, I also picked, the GH Coddle, which is the last one I'm going to touch on here. And it's not necessarily meta breaking, but it is a hero that we've seen teams like Alliance pick and have generally good results with. And I think it being one of GH's signature heroes, along with the Aghanim Scepter getting recently rebuffed a little bit, it's something that we could see again. And I think as a Liquid fan, it does hold a little bit of a special place in my heart because of that TI7 run where it was so effective. But I think it is really strong, and I think we could see it make another few impactful appearances and potentially another TI winning run for us. Now, going back to the stats themselves, I don't really want to linger on these too long because I do think they're relatively hard to interpret and kind of take any analysis from, given the fact that we had such a strange DPC season. It was relatively underwhelming. I think Team Liquid and the fans could kind of agree that it was relatively underwhelming, which is a little bit odd to say because we did come second in 2 consecutive majors at the end of the season, but I do think we all expected a little bit more. But most importantly, I want to focus on Miracle and Weehaw here. So Miracle, despite our underwhelming season, has some pretty crazy numbers here, especially in farming and kills. He was a really high impact player for us in Epicenter, and it really shows in his stats. On the flip side, we see that Weehaw had a really underwhelming season with Chaos. They didn't really have any notable results. He obviously wasn't getting utilized to his full potential. And I think at TI, he's going to kind of want to show that, these stats are the stats of the past. He's going to come out. He had a really good breakout tournament in Epicenter with us. And I think he's really going to want to stamp that into the International as well. So I think it's going to be really important that both Miracle and Weehaw have great performances in the group stage and just kind of help us carry some of that momentum into the playoff bracket. So I'll leave the group stage there, but I think Team Liquid fans, whether or not they're a fan of Dota, should really watch the International. It's one of the biggest esports spectacles of the year, and really Team Liquid is in that position to take first place, which no other team has ever won the International twice. Team Liquid's kind of in a position to potentially do that, and it's going to be incredibly exciting all around. It's an incredibly competitive year, so all of the games are going to be really good, but if it is a little bit overwhelming to watch this much Dota, especially since it is in Shanghai, so it's going to be kind of time-wise all over the place, you can tune in on Tuesday when I put out my other video. It's going to go over the group stages, and it's going to give a little bit of a preview into the playoffs. So if you don't want to watch the group stages, come back here on Tuesday. I'll have a nice breakdown for you. You can kind of look at what we did, what we potentially didn't do, and then you can kind of look at the playoff bracket and see maybe what you might want to watch. So thanks again for watching the video, guys, and I hope you enjoy the tournament.